Hello, boys and girls. We are in math, topic 5, lesson 7. I am on page 136 in your math book. Okay. Here's what we are doing. We're making and testing conjectures. I'm going to skip this first problem at the top, but I would like to read this right here. It says right here, boom. A conjecture is a generalization that you think is true. A question can help you make a conjecture. Conjecture is what you're saying you believe to be true, and then you need to test it. So for example, I'm going to share my journal. Let's take a look at it. If I can get it to stop, let's go over here and share our journal. I'll come back to that one on the top. I think it could be a little confusing. Take a look at these ones. Pretend I made this conjecture. The difference of two odd numbers is always even. The difference between two odd numbers is always even. Is it always even? You want to test a few of these. You go, well, wait a second. 53 minus 9. How much is that? 44? Is it always even? So you would say, sounds like it's true. That sounds correct most of the time, right? It's correct. Let's look at another one. The sum of two decimals is always a decimal. Well, I know that one's not true because what I'm thinking is if I had 75 cents and a quarter, right? And if I added these together, wouldn't I get $1? I would get 1. Even if I had this, okay, I still have a whole number there, don't I? So this one is incorrect. This conjecture is incorrect. Let's look at another one. Composite numbers, here's a conjecture being made. Pretend I make this conjecture. Composite numbers have an even number of factors. Composite numbers. Here's a composite number. Do they always have an even number of factors? I try a few of them. How about 8? 1, 2, 4, 8. Do they always have an even? Oh, look at that. They do not. Here's a composite number, and it has an odd number. So this is incorrect. That conjecture is wrong. Let's make another one. Ready? How about this one? The product of two prime numbers, the product of two prime numbers is an even number. So if I did 7 times 5, so the product of two prime numbers is never an even number. Is that true? There's 2 of them. Try another one. 2 prime numbers. Can you think of any prime numbers that would end up as even? What about this one? Oh, look at that. There's an even number. There's 2 prime numbers. So this is wrong. It says it would never be an even number. Well, there's one right there. So this conjecture is wrong. Let us go on. The sum of any 2 perfect squares is an even number. Well, if I did this one, let's say I have 9. And I think that's a perfect square because it's 3 by 3. The sum, so is 4 because it's 2 by 2. The sum, that's 13. The sum of any 2 perfect squares is an even number. Well, No, there's an odd number right away, right? Let's move on. So that conjecture is incorrect. Let's move on. How about this one? A GCF cannot always be found for a set of whole numbers. A GCF cannot always be found for a set of whole numbers. A GCF cannot always be found for a set of whole numbers. Well, that's incorrect, because you could always find one, the number 1, as the GCF. So you can always find it. Let's move on. Let's look at these. It says, sorry guys, make a conjecture about each of the following, then test your conjecture. Adding 2 odd numbers. Adding 2 odd numbers will always result in an even number. Adding 2 odd numbers will always result in an even number. Is it true? If I add these, will it always result in an even number? Does it? Adding 2 odd numbers will always result in an even number. I think that conjecture is correct. Multiplying 2 odd numbers. I'm going to make up a conjecture. Multiplying 2 odd numbers always ends up in an even number. Is it correct? I'm going to test it. Multiplying 2 odd numbers will always end up, did I say as an even? 2 odd numbers will always end up as an even, is what I said. So that's incorrect. Here's 2 odd numbers. They ended up as odds, correct? Let's take a look at another one. Let me pause, set up. I think we're recording. Go on. Multiplying an even number and an odd number. Make up a conjecture. If I multiply an even and an odd, it will always, I'm going to give us a note because I'm forgetting. Will it always be odd? Multiplying an even and an odd number. My conjecture is that will always be odd. An even and an odd. Well, the one I guessed right away, sorry, I'm off the screen. Multiplying an even and an odd number. Look, right away. I said it will always be odd. No, it's incorrect. So do you see how conjectures work? Let me take a look at your reading, your math workbook, see if we have some more. I'm going to pause.